Hello everyone, welcome to the video on Lightning Component Attribute Dynamic Data Display. So in the previous module, we understood how to create a simple attribute in our component. Now let's try to see how we can print the value of the attribute on the component. Okay. Now let me use a tag like the value stored in the attribute is. I'm going to use an expression tag here as we understood in the previous video. So basic standard syntax is the brackets, an exclamation symbol, then followed by ov dot and the attribute name. It is my message. Okay, so my message is the attribute value that I want to see on the component output. So v is a value provider which has access to all the attributes in this component. So in the next time, like when we want to print the value of my number, all I do is I can say v dot my number, so it will print the value associated with my number. But for now, let's check the value for my message. Okay, now we wrote an expression. Save this, go to the app and click on preview. And if you notice here, it prints the value stored in the attribute is, and then it is blank, which means by default, if you go to the component and see, we did not associate any value with this attribute. So for testing purpose, let us add some default value. So let's use a component called default. Sorry, not a component, a field on that component called default, and assign some message there. Hello user. Save it. Go to the app and update the preview. Did you notice here the output hello user, whatever value that we see or whatever value that we assign here, like hello user, is the value that we see in the output, which means the value associated with my message attribute is being accessed and printed by using this specific expression. So we will try to use these expressions more and more in the following videos, and we'll understand more on this. Now in the next step, what we'll do is we'll try to change the value of this my message dynamically. So for that, what we're going to do is we're going to associate this my message with the input field, which means, so if you notice the changes that we're going to make here, I'm going to use a field called value equal to quotes. I'm going to use the same expression here and save it. Control S. Now the next step that we are going to do is go to the app and click on update preview. But before I click on update preview, just go back to the output and just notice here the first name field is empty. But as soon as I click on update preview now, notice here the value hello user, whatever value that I have given for the attribute, is being associated with the first name field, which means by default this value, the default value, is being printed or is being assigned to this lightning tag. So okay, this lightning tag only, the first one. Now the next step that I'm going to do here is, let us delete this default value, save it, go back to the app and update the preview. So since we have deleted the default value, we don't see a default value here and also here. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to print, or I'm going to enter some name in the first name field. Did you notice here, let me delete it, and as and when I start inputting the value here, we also see that the dynamic value that I print in the text box is being displayed here, which means whatever value that I print in the text box ideally is being associated with my message attribute, and the exact same value is being printed at this place, because we are again trying to access the value for my message, which means in the current scenario we are able to dynamically change the value associated with an attribute. So if I delete it, or it's not deleting, if I change the value associated with an attribute, the value here changes. Okay. But if I go to the phone number field and enter any data, it will not be reflected here. Why? Because the phone number field, whatever we see here, this is the phone number field input tag. This value is not associated with this attribute. So only thing that changes here is like whenever we enter some text in the input field, the value will be associated with the attribute, and that value only changes. So which means like we are able to dynamically display the data here, change it and display it on the component. Okay. In the next videos we'll see more on like the validations, saving the data and stuff. Thank you for watching this video.